right, good evening, everyone, and welcome to another exciting episode of Sky U Pod, your college huddle Golden Gopher football podcast. Today, we have some special guests joining us to break down the upcoming game against the Cal Golden Bears. Ahmad Rez from Tell the Whole Damn World podcast. Thank you both for joining us. How are you both?
Doing great, doing great. Excited. It's Tuesday. Can't wait for Saturday to come around. You guys are certainly the highest profile non-conference game we're going to be playing for sure. So we're ready. And I know you guys are the Golden Gophers. We're the Golden Bears, and it's going to be a gold out here at Memorial Stadium. So everyone's supposed to wear their gold. So be a lot of fun.
I'm excited about it, man. It's great to see you all on the other side of the box there. Appreciate the invitation. And just as the coach would used to say to all of us, I'm just damn glad to be here, baby.
Awesome, awesome. Yeah, we appreciate you breaking this down. We kind of talked, off camera before this. This is kind of a unique meeting between, two teams in different conferences. We don't know a ton about Cal, and you both don't know a ton about Golden Gopher football. So we'd love to just kind of break it down and see what we think of it at the end of this. So, um, yeah, why don't you just first tell us about this Cal team? What are your expectations this year compared to maybe last season, and how do you think they'll do?
Yeah, well, I'll hop in first if that's all right there, Ahmad. And I'd have to say that I think expectations are pretty high. I can see that at least when you take a look at the national analysts out there who kind of try to make sense of everything with all the transfer portal stuff that goes on, and you don't know exactly who's playing for what team anymore. There's a lot of negative press. The optics, at least nationally, surrounding Cal were not good when Jaden Knott and Javion Thomas and Jack Endries all transferred out. And you're thinking, like, oh my God, like what? And Fernando Mendoza going to Indiana and all of that. But you know what? We moved past that, and I got to say, I feel really good about this team. Now, I'll just got to say this: I'm always ever the optimist. So you got to kind of color things with that. But the coaching staff that we have is more experienced than we've had in a long, long time, maybe ever. Brian Harson is the offensive coordinator, who, of course, was a head coach at Auburn. And when he was the offensive coordinator at Boise State, his teams went 61-5, which is kind of crazy to think. And then we have Nick Rolovich, who was a head coach at Hawaii and at Washington State and is known for putting up a lot of points and knowing how to score touchdowns. So, that has always been kind of our Achilles heel under Justin Wilcox, is not kind of really being able to find the end zone very much, which has been aggravating, especially going from Sonny Dykes, where we would regularly score 50 or drop 50, as we like to say. And it's been an adventure on offense. But this offensive staff we retooled and made the offensive line a real priority. And then I'm sure, I know you don't know too much about Cal, but I'm certain that you've heard about Jaron Kiave Sangapolatele. And I mean, man, now that guy, true freshman quarterback, and looks way beyond his years. And we're all just super excited to have him as part of the Cal program. So, he's our quarterback. And last game against Texas Southern, we saw Kendrick Raphael, our running back, really explode onto the scene with 18 carries for 131 yards. So offensively, we feel really good about things, especially after last season having just a real porous offensive line that allowed so many sacks. It really wasn't fair to poor Fernando back there running for his life all the time. But the team really emphasized offensive line. We feel much better about that. We've only allowed one sack so far this season. And defensively, we're just always stout under Justin Wilcox. And the front seven look great. And beyond that, the secondary, we're getting a reputation as DBU because we play so many defensive backs into the NFL. So, and then that kind of is continuing with Hezekiah Masses, who's really doing pretty well. I think he's got 2 interceptions already so far this season and has been a real ball hawk. And Isaiah Crosby as well, looking really good back there as a safety. So anyway, we're stoked and excited, and I'll stop running my mouth now and let him not have a chance to say something.
I was going to pass him my asthma inhaler. He needed to take a breath there for a minute. 911, somebody call, help him. But no, from another perspective, right? I'm a defensive guy. I play DB in at corner and in free safety in the nickel and dime, and so I have great love for a defensive backfield and what they can do. But I know for real that that's not really where it's at if you don't have a great defensive line. We come into the game and we are truly hungry bears, and it's about hunting, finding, and getting to the ball in a hurry and cover up. I recommend to any team in the country that plays us, you better break down around the pile because there's somebody coming in to look for the ball. That kind of defense, though, does there's vulnerabilities to it, right? With the aggressiveness, with the traps, with the comebacks, with the stop and go, the fades, those kind of routes. When you're playing aggressive defensive ball, leave you vulnerable. But we have not only true athletes, but we have student athletes of the game that understand the physics of it, the angles, being able to follow up. I watched the last game. I was at the last game, and it's hard for me to sit in my seat as a guy who's to play in that stadium. I walk around, I talk. I don't want to be bothered. Don't want to listen to the Saturday quarterback sitting next to me who probably never played his life, never even played high school like y'all play high school. Tell me, oh, that guy should have done that. I don't want to hear it. I don't have anything to do with it. But I do feel that we have a great combination. As Reza said, there was times where defense was just exhausted being on the field because we were, basically in a series one and done, not being able to capture what we need to capture, reach the end zone, had troubles with the field goals. But one thing I know, as many times I had to call and say, yes, is this the counseling service of 1-800 or .com counseling for my partner, Reza? Reza's very depressed. We just lost 5 receivers, 5 running backs. And I said, and it's 7 other guys that we didn't even really know that never ever played. I need some help. Bring the AED in here now, stat. And I said to him, that's where we're living right in the Bay. But many others are having this same experience as well. Even some of the greatest coaches, they left. I mean, we've got a bunch of them there. But here's what I do know. Coach Saban would always say many times when he'd have a group of guys as time went on and they were great as they were, when they would be scored upon the first time or eventually at some point in the game, even when they were winning, he'd say, now what? So what? Let the game begin now. Start from here. So everybody in the country's gone through the same sort of recycle, reset. And in some cases, it's a reboot. And the reboot for some is that they were able to have 7 starters, 11 starters, still come back, 15 starters. And so those are the folks you have to look at. Those are the folks who've been able to provide some continuity and some family, if you will, around team. As I've always said, no matter where you are in the country today, whoever you play, as we watched last week, a bunch of big names got taken down like Goliath. Look here, you got to grind, you got to show unity, you've got to show teamwork, and that leads to success. No matter what colors you are, no matter what team you are, that's what football is all about, baby.
I'm
Got
ready
them
to
all
go,
fired
man. I can
up.
lace him back up.
Yeah.
Yeah, come on, hand on the line, hand on the line. Get in the bull ring, baby.
I tell you, if
Um,
you just put Ahmad and me out there in terms of our sheer enthusiasm for everything, we would win every game. It'd be 16-0
I
every
think
season,
so.
baby. That's it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, Reza
I don't
kicked
doubt that for a
60-yard
second.
field goals. He does that on the regular, man. Right before I'm going out there. I'm winning the tickets to the Cabo. I'm going now. Yeah. Come back, Reza. Sit down. You know, he's like the guy in the commercial running around on the commercial with the emu. He's getting tackled on the field. Boom.
Yeah. I'll ask the first positional group question. You guys referenced it here. So I felt like in the summer, every time I was checking, I check all the transfer portal news. It was updated constantly. And I think you did say it was 5 running backs that Cal lost to the portal this offseason. I know you just mentioned, I forgot your starter's name, so feel free to talk about him. But how do you feel that room has been replenished? And like, you sound pretty confident after one game. Do you think that can be someone you lean on going forward? Are you
Well,
guys kind of reliant on that main guy staying healthy, or how do you feel about the depth there?
well, I'll tell you, and it's interesting. The last time we played you guys, we had a sensational running back by the name of Javid Best. You guys probably still have nightmares about because he ran all over you guys. But yeah, we at Cal have historically had like just amazing skill players. Okay, if you look at the number of players who've gone on to the NFL and have had success and are like Hall of Fame caliber players at a lot of the different skill positions, it's kind of crazy to think like, why hasn't that translated to more success, collegiately? Because we've really had just some outstanding players. And offensive line, we have had some really good offensive lines, and there is something to be said for sure that when you have a good offensive line, the team just does a lot better. And so my take on it is that the running backs that we retooled with are all very talented and good. They were either backups or they haven't necessarily had their chance to really shine, as a starter where we pluck them from. But in my mind, if you have an offensive line that is creating the space, these guys have wiggle. These guys have speed. They're going to bust through and they're going to look fantastic for us. So Kendrick Raphael came to us from NC State, I believe. And like I say, last week he just had a sensational game, rushing for a career best 131 yards on 18 carries, 7.3 average. This was against Texas Southern, so take that a little bit with a grain of salt. But actually, Texas Southern really brought it. They have some sensational athletes, by the way. But L.J. Johnson is another guy, transfer out of SMU, who had a 12-yard run touchdown in the third quarter, I believe, last week as well. But he's a bigger back, and I can't forget. Gosh, I'm trying to remember now. The main guy, actually, who we kind of expected to be more of the guy. Do you remember his name there, Ahmad? I'm blanking right now. It just goes to show with the transfer portal, I can't keep all the different guys straight. But we do have a third running back who is awfully talented as well. He didn't get too many carries in the last game, I think, because Raphael just took the ball and ran. But it's basically running back by committee. But in my mind, again, it comes back to, if you have a fantastic running back there, like we had Jaden out last year, and sure, he was injured for a lot of the year, but he wasn't getting any yards, that the offensive line is breaking down on every play. It all comes down to who's controlling the line of scrimmage. And that's where a lot of my optimism for this season comes from, because the coaching staff has got it. They understand. And all this, again, I believe is thanks to Ron Rivera, too, who, of course, is our general manager. And that guy obviously knows football, right? So he said, look, we are going to go and make sure we get ourselves an offensive line, and we'll get the running backs who are going to do just fine behind it. So they're not going to be stellar guys like a Javid Best potentially, but they're going to be awfully good for us.
I mean, I'd say, one thing we learned, if we didn't learn anything from last year, it's from um, was the value of an offensive line, right? We go in and we're, game day, everybody's hyped. We're playing, from the start of game day to mid fourth quarter, we are doing our thing against Miami, and then that cha-ching, cha-ching, ka-ching, ka-ching, ka-ching. How many more zeros? Ka-ching, ka-ching, ka-ching. Offensive line was like this. Here you go, like a snowplow in Minnesota, baby. No problem. It was clearing it, making a way, and people were able to. And Cam did his thing. Now that resonates to me. What Rez was talking about. If you have an offensive line together that can work together, that comes together, then if you have, and you never know what that running back is going to be or who the next job at best is going to be, but what you do know is all I need is some room for a guy who can do what they need to do. And that is what we were able to see at some point against not only TSU but also Oregon State. Oregon State, you had 8 receivers right in the mix, but you also notice how the game was spread out by the traps, by the comebacks, by the off center runs that continue to shape the game and keep a team, Oregon State, sort of off balance. Has been great in its time over the last year or so. But again, the synergy of which you're playing with now in football is like the old story. You have what you have, burn your boat. We either win together or we're going to lay flat and die here on the field together. So you have to figure it out, and you have to figure it out quick. Now is the time to do it in the season because of injuries that may come about and just the overall morale and energy and focus. The focus is going to be the teams that are going to be successful in the first half of the season. Not having injuries will lead to people getting to the next level for bowls and et cetera.
That's great. When you guys both brought up the offensive line and its improvement over last year. I think last year I looked up, I think there's about 50 sacks they had given up last year. Off to a much better start this year, like you guys have talked about. Do you think that's more like scheme, or is it just overall straight better players? You guys just went out and found better guys in the portal.
Yeah, I mean, really, honestly, just straight retooled the offensive line. I think we have one guy who's a returner from last season. He was injured last year, and he's back to full strength, fortunately, because he was certainly our best offensive line guy. And, here's the interesting thing, though. When it comes to offensive line play, it comes down to chemistry, right? I mean, you can have these big bodies, and so we got ourselves an offensive line coach. And I probably shouldn't hype him or tell you too much about him because I don't want you guys trying to pluck him away from us. But Famike Anai, we got out of New Mexico, I believe, or New Mexico State. Man, this guy gets it. And he has very quickly been able to mold this offensive line into a real force. So, yeah, I see our offensive line just across the board being physically better. They're bigger, just better all around. And I haven't really seen too much with the scheme. Last year we actually tried to scheme our way because, quite honestly, we would have given up double that number of sacks. I mean, it was just really the most disappointing play from our offensive line, I think, that I can remember. And I've been following Cal football since the early 90s. So it was like we were trying to scheme and roll out like on every play because we just knew we couldn't stop anybody from trying to rush the passers. So this season it's totally different. But yeah, our young quarterback back there has a great feel for the pocket and knows how to move and set his feet and deliver accurate balls down the field. And anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself, but yeah, I'm excited.
Somebody's excited about college football, but I'd say to you also is that the quarterback makes a difference, right? The ability when you are an offensive lineman from a defensive perspective, having done some coaching myself at a variety of different levels, that one of the things I used to talk to the defense about, if that quarterback gets comfortable back there. If you've got a quarterback that has the ability to move around or to get settled in and has a quick release, and the scheme aligns with really with the talent that you have and maximizing on that talent to give that particular individual and that squad a sense of great confidence, especially early in the game, and to find that rhythm. It's tough to fight that, and I believe with our quarterback, you have a young guy with great leadership skills for such a young guy, but also the emotional intelligence of football to understanding the game. And that's provided the kind of confidence that you see if you watch the film. And I had to watch it again and just to get a sense of what was that feeling as a defensive back for TSU, for example, or even Oregon State, as I watched just defense over and over, like I was back in the game myself, and saying there is a settling, and you can watch it in an offensive line. Like if you watch some of the game last night, right, with Minnesota, right, you could watch how when Minnesota made its change in that game, there were offensive linemen, might have been on the right side there, that sort of not relaxed, but had an opportunity because of what was going on, because the level of comfort the quarterback, they were just looking for the next block, looking on how to help out, to double up on somebody. And that's what I see Cal doing with the kind of coaching they're doing. When you have your offensive lineman, not necessarily when the play has been drawn in such a way that the defense is moving in a certain direction and that other offensive line can sit back and protect that backside, you're in a world of trouble downfield. You're in a world of trouble downfield. And that is not only one of the keys to open up the game long, but then what can you do if they punch you in the nose with a run play when you're thinking this is what they've been doing all day, or just looping it out? And those kind of dumps I say pickleball dinks, if you will, are the ones that are most dangerous because that whole section of the area makes them man want to change as a different perspective. Do I key in, or is like can I key in and understand that I need to look for that running back popping out, or and because that line is providing that kind of that kind of look to open up to just peek that running back through, or are we going to minimize that to alleviate that running back like we have those running backs that pop out, so my middle linebacker can become a rover and really put a dent in what that quarterback can see for the crossing routes and the underneaths.
Yeah. Yeah, you mentioned Sangapulatele. I guess I wanted to ask you a little more about the quarterback situation. Last year we saw what Mendoza could do. He then transfers in Indiana. You get Devin Brown to transfer in from Ohio State. And everyone, I feel like all offseason was thinking about, okay, Brown's going to be the guy. Well, here's a freshman in Sangapulatele who comes out and wins the job. Granted, he's only played 2 games, but what do you guys see as his strengths, and what are maybe some question marks that you still haven't had answered yet from him?
Well, yeah, I mean, he is a young guy, so he's still kind of getting his feet under him. But I mean, that's a thing that I think he just exploded onto the scene against Oregon State on the road. And he was the first true freshman to have ever started a game on the road for us at Cal. And, Devin Brown is no slouch. He's a former 5-star guy, right? Mr. Ohio out of Ohio State. And I mean, you're right. People thought that Devin Brown was going to win the job because of his, he had a little more playing time and was a little older, and so had that leadership. But there is this intangible quality about Jaron that is just really, I mean, you see, this is why everybody's just all of a sudden excited. And I'll tell you a little funny story, of course. I mean, the eyes of the nation, everyone was saying, oh, Cal's not going to win this game. And we were underdogs against Oregon State. They said, oh, Cal's not going to win this game. Everyone transferred. They got a freshman quarterback going on the road. They're not going to win. And, they're no good. And so immediately after the game, or like by halftime, after the nation had seen him go 9 for 9 to start and place these beautiful passes, right, everywhere, all over the field, just zipping the ball and throwing guys open, which was really something that, you don't really see too much in a young freshman quarterback. I mean, all of a sudden the narrative completely changed. Oh, Cal's not going to be able to keep this guy because some other program is going to take him. They're going to pay him a boatload of money. So like in one game, it switched completely. Like I've never seen anything like that, where it went from just Cal's got nothing to quarterback to this guy's going to be the number one pick in the draft, maybe a Heisman winner in all this. And so it's really kind of funny, but he does have this great personality, and he's Hawaiian, so he's got this attitude that's just laid back. He doesn't get too high, too low. He's ultra competitive, but he's just got what it takes, and everyone can see it already. So yeah, he's young. He's liable to make some mistakes here and there, but man, this guy just has a great feel for the pocket, sets his feet just great, and can deliver these accurate strikes all over the field, can place the ball anywhere. And he's a lefty. So that always kind of throws teams a little bit, I think, because he rolls out differently than right-handed guys, right? So it's a little different, but we are so glad to have him as part of our team, I tell
Yeah.
you.
My next question is just going to be like on the offensive side of the ball. You just talked about your quarterback. What weapons should be aware of? You talked about the running back. What targets does he tend to favor down the field?
Well, in the last game, we had 11 different receivers catch a pass, just to give you a sense.
So it's spread out.
It is spread out. It is spread out. We had 3 different guys have 5 catches apiece. So he doesn't play favorites, which is nice to see. He throws deep very accurately. But he's his eyes are all over the field. Again, just has great pocket presence and knows how to find guys who are open. Makes good use of the tight ends as well. That was something that we were concerned about, losing a real talent in Jack Endries, who transferred to Texas. And this is a guy who walked on to the Cal program, just like Ahmad Anderson, right here, right? He walked on to the program and just was sensational. And now he's like considered, one of the best tight ends in the country and all this, and he's going to be a high draft pick and all of that. And so we were concerned that, okay, that's going to be something that's really going to be, a step backward for us for that position group. Well, quite honestly, it's kind of surprising, but if you take a look at how that position is graded out, I believe it's the top rated position group in terms of tight ends in the ACC. So, and it's a little bit by committee. Mason Minnie is probably the primary guy there. And one other guy that you guys will want to, or at least you'll know his name by the end of the game for sure, is Jacob DeJesus. And this is a transfer from UNLV. Shifty guy. Like maybe 5'8", 5'9", but man, he has just got it. He's like pure electricity on the field. He returns kicks and is also just a slot receiver who's going to give you all kinds of problems out there. So that's probably the weapons I would say you're going to be wanting to watch out for.
I'd say also that with the portal, right? It reminds me of the good old days when I played, and I played against folks like Charles White and Marcus Allen and yada yada yada. But I say all that because Ronnie Lott was playing defense when I was playing defense, and there were guys at SC who were third string down behind Dennis Thurman and all those guys, and I remember sitting around watching the draft my junior year in '81 and seeing these guys who were third string players who played far less than me as a starter getting drafted, in the second round, and I'm thinking, what the hell? And yet knowing just in that moment, as you're sitting with folks who are getting drafted and you're watching the draft, you're learning things on the fly, knowing that this guy ran, four flat in the middle of the night, just to go get a pizza because nobody's car could get moved, whatever. I'll be right back. And knowing what their skills were, watching them on special teams, flying down the field and taking people out. the NIL and the portal have transported people who may have never played a single down if the NIL portal did not exist anymore. They'd be sitting thinking about, should I transfer? How long will I have to sit out? Where do I go? Not a problem now, baby, because I can go from South Dakota to Atlanta, Alabama, and I could be a starter tomorrow. Tomorrow. And we're seeing that in teams where this guy, who's that guy? And people are looking like we are. Let me read his name. Oh, that's so and so from Yuck Yuck Mount, Milwaukee. And you look at his stats and you think, why didn't this guy? And I wasn't a superstar where I was, but I think about as I walked on, 5'9.5", 170 pounds maybe, and walked on the cow, quickly moved up by spring. There I was. By summer, I'm a starter by my freshman, redshirt year. I'm starting. But I think about, I was a BART, our Bay Area Rapid Transit ride away from the campus, and how my head coach at the time, Roger Theater said, who was in charge of this area that we missed this guy down the street, and you all go out and recruit all these other guys who are now sitting on the bench. That's a whole nother crazy story of what that looks like for a guy who walks on. So those coaches want to try to get their guy to beat you out. You're like, all of a sudden you're getting all the reps and you get no reps. All of a sudden, like, I thought I was a starter, coach. But I think about guys who show up today, right, that nobody heard of, and they're making tremendous catches. They are running up and down the field like this has been their home turf all their life. I look at guys on your team and I see the same thing, and it is amazing. But that's the excitement of college football. That's the excitement of game day. So I'm excited about our meeting because the Gophers are hungry and the Bears are hungry, baby. And it's just going to be a great time. I'm hoping that we all will be able to get together after this. This will be something that'll start throughout the nation, that podcasts will be able to get together later and have a chop it up about, man, oh my, win or lose, about what that was like and who are going to be the next of the best going into the future and making our teams the best they can be in the country. Wake up, baby. It's gold day, baby, this weekend.
Yeah. No, really well said. Go ahead, Spencer. I'll let you chime in with a question now.
Yeah, I guess kind of just looking at Cal defense now, we kind of went over a lot of the studs that you have on offense. Who are some guys we should look at on defense? I know that, the front uh, defense, the defensive line is pretty good, but who else are some standouts that you all have?
Yeah, well, Ryan McCullough, defensive end, has been really good for us. And there's high expectations for him this season, defensive end. And at linebacker, we've got Cade Uluwave. Now, and this guy is like going to be an All-American. I mean, he is just tremendous. Probably the heart and soul of that defense. He got disqualified for a targeting call in the third quarter against Texas Southern. So he's going to sit out the first half. So that is a blow to us for sure, because he's just an outstanding player. But we do have some other guys at linebacker, Boom Jock, who we haven't seen too much of, which just is like, that's a great name to have as a football player, right? So hopefully he could play as well as his name sounds. But he's been out there getting some reps. And Luke Farrelly, who is a redshirt freshman at linebacker, has been enormously productive. Had 11 tackles in the last game and just climbed up the depth chart rapidly. Nobody really expected that guy to make that leap so early, but he has been a real find for us, and basically starts alongside Cade at inside linebacker. So those two guys, I'd say, in particular, are probably the biggest names there on defense that you're going to hear their names hopefully often. Well, at least for us, hopefully hear them often.
Yeah, I'd agree with Reza. We definitely have, which makes the podcast great, right? And you all know that we do have different perspectives on what we think is the key or who are those folks. But in that defensive set, surprisingly enough, he's got great insight for a guy who's never played. But he's got great insight on what that is. You know, when you look at the defensive scheme and we're looking at a 2-4-5 and 5. I mean, I for a nickel guy, a guy was in the dime and nickel defense. I love that baby. I mean, it just tells you right out front, this is what we're working with, and we can put some folks down on the line. It's not a problem, but it shares with you the kind of athletes we have across the board, and that's what makes it exciting. So if I'm a quarterback and being a DB, reading that quarterback and what you're thinking about, what the options are for me, you know, down and distance. Am I on the far hash? Do I have a move offense that make sure my running back has the visibility to come upfield? You've got to worry about where is that other DB when other folks are covered. Where is that person? Is he reading me, right? Is he the rover? Is he checking me, or is he checking down on that crossing pattern as I'm moving and shifting across the field and looking for smash mouth football? I think that kind of defense and the players we have, the players that were mentioned, they get around the ball, and it's really clear that this is the style. If you go back and watch Justin play when he was in school during his time period, you know exactly what's happening and why the folks that are on the field are the starters that they are. And this team right here, they're gonna really shape the outcome of where the team goes. The quarterbacks shouldn't have to carry it all. Like like our guy in Buffalo, right? He shouldn't
Yeah,
have to carry it all. But now our guy in Minnesota last night shows that if you have that
that's right.
capability, and I'm not saying he's going to be the next guy, but he sure enough showed from we watched Buffalo Bills the other night and watched Minnesota Vikings. You look at kids today and say, this is what football looks like. This is what it takes to make it happen. And I think that we're gonna see. We're gonna see. On both sides of the ball, from the team you have that is really, I think, very good, and has a great opportunity. And this is a season. I'm just fired up about it. This is the season. I'm gonna spill my popcorn and my red vines here. This is the season where you're going to see who really has a great team to be able to put together. And it may be a season where players stay exactly where they are. They stay exactly where, because that money train is moving down the line. That the room on a roster, and I talk less about the game and more about the science of where we are with it, because that makes it. I speak to players all the time. That train is moving down the line, and the money's leaving. The roster's been redefined, so there's not a lot of room in the end. So you need to get cozy, and you need to strap it on and tighten up your mouth strap and mouthpiece and get ready to play ball where you are. And this will make the difference. This year will be a difference of who's going to be winners and losers at the end of the day. I'm not only who came to play for you, but who stays to play for you.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, this matchup's got me excited. I think if you look at just a little I've gotten to see about Cal and looking up the stats, like the defenses actually kind of remind me a lot of each other. Both fronts like to be aggressive at times. Um, you guys mentioned you like to rotate in a lot of D-backs. We play a lot of D-backs. Sometimes we'll throw 6 of them out there depending on the style and whatnot. And we have 2 safeties in Carey Brown and Coy Parrish that we feel really good about, that will move around all over the field. So, to me, I actually I'm curious to see for both teams the offensive line and how they hold up, because at least for us, I would say our first 2 games, not that Buffalo was a terrible opponent, but it's not what we're going to see with Cal, right? So I'm curious to see what O-line is going to be able to hold up best, I guess is to say, and give their quarterback the most time to make throws downfield.
100%.
And you guys have a pretty good quarterback of your own who's a freshman, right? He's a redshirt freshman, but man, this guy
Yeah.
is pretty lights out, amazing too, right?
Yeah, different style a little bit, but yeah, he was Drake Lindsay was the Arkansas Gatorade Player of the Year senior year. So he came out used to throwing the ball a lot, and Minnesota's gotten better at it. We've under PJ we've been pretty run heavy, and we definitely would like to still be able to rely on the run. But the last 2 years we've kind of transitioned to a little bit more of a balanced offense, not stuck in the early 2000s with like a fullback all the time and whatnot. But not that I mind that style of football, but it's just gotten a little bit more modernized and whatnot. So yeah, 2 young stud quarterbacks will be fun to watch. But yeah, I guess unless you guys have anything else you wanted to talk about, I'd love to hear what you guys think will be your keys to the game, and feel free to finish that off with your score predictions.
Yeah. I'm not a score prediction guy.
No.
Nah, I'm not that guy at all. I'm sorry to disappoint, guys.
That's all right.
If look, I played on the team with 4 seconds left to go in the game, and the band ran out on the field. So I don't know. Do y'all have a band?
Yeah, I don't think they're traveling though.
What can I do to help out? Who is the donors? Who are your big donors? How can I help out? But I will tell them. But I think that I think it's going to be exciting, just like you said, Kirk. I'm interested. I have, of course, I'm sitting on Bear territory all day, every day. But I gotta tell you, it's going to be quite the game. And I think we won't know till I'm feeling. I'll at least say this: it will be deep into the third quarter, beginning fourth quarter, that we'll know what's really going to happen in the game.
Well, I'll say that.
That's my feeling.
Yeah, I'll say this is that you guys have played your first 2 games at home, and of course, home cooking. It's a lot easier to play at home, right, than to travel across country. So there at least that helps us to think that you guys are having to travel out to our place, and then the time zone difference, right? Because you guys are on Eastern time, is that right?
Central, but yeah.
Central. Okay, so 2 hours later. So your guys are going to be there are clocks. You guys are going to be starting the football game at 9:30, right? That's pretty late. So I would hope, at least for our sakes, that that's going to help contribute to our team being a little sharper and being able to execute a little bit better out there. But you guys are no joke. Ever since you guys made that splash by getting PJ Fleck, and it was like, wow, where did that come from? Because he was the hot shot commodity for sure, and he's done some great things for your program. So and obviously now with the way the balance of power has kind of shifted and everything, and Big Ten teams, you guys just got so much money being thrown at you and all that. So you guys have the resources that are just a little more challenging for us at this stage right now. And so we are certainly not taking you lightly whatsoever. I think, Sangapolo Tele is eager. I saw him after the last game, and, he's very quick with a smile, and he's an easygoing guy. And he looked pissed at the press conference. And it was strange because, we won by 32 points, right? 35-3, but he didn't look too happy. And, it's because I think he has a certain level of expectation of himself and how he plays. And I think he's going to bring that, especially ESPN game, national, the media and the lights and all that out here. So it'll be a fun one. I'll tell you that. I probably like Ahmad, and it's hard for me to throw out a score. I have really no clue. It could be anything. Justin Wilcox is famous for doing what we call like rock fights, where it's just ugly, low scoring kind of games. And that could potentially be. But at the same time, I think, both given how good both quarterbacks are, I think we'll see a higher scoring game than a low scoring game. So
Sure.
maybe something in the 20s. And who knows? Maybe whatever team has the ball last may very well win that one, because I don't think either team is going to get up on the other team by like 2 or 3 scores.
Yeah, and for me, as a guy who used to play the game, I don't hey, look. All I needed to hear was somebody tell me how much they were going to beat me by, was to fire me up.
Sure.
You're not going to make a mod the wood that goes in the bonfire for Minnesota this weekend before you go to the game, baby. That big old dummy with a bear territory on it. Freshman more wood. I ain't going to be that guy. But I know it's gonna be a great game. I do believe that 100%. And I've watched you guys on the film here and what have not, and I just feel it's gonna be a lot of running around, with like some good old smash mouth football, and it's gonna be exciting. It will not be a boring game. That's what I know, and
No.
and that might keep me in my seat. So there you go.
Yeah. No, I think it's going to be an extremely physical game. And yeah. Max, Shody, anything else you guys want to bring up?
No, I mean, I'm excited for it. You guys have got me way more excited for it. I was already looking forward to this game, but no, this has been great. Your guys' insight. And yeah, I mean, I knew just from the last few games some of the players on Cal, but just hearing your guys' side of it, this is great, and I'm pumped.
Well, thank you all for having us, y'all. Thank you very much. And with all due respect, go Gophers, baby.
Yeah.
We'll take
Go
that.
Gophers, go Bears. No, thank
Yeah.
you guys so much. We appreciate you.
All right.
Can you just tell our audience, where can we all find you?
Absolutely. So yeah, we do on-camera interviews. We basically started out by having featured guests and all these great people who had gone to Cal and kind of what they're doing now in their lives. And so we started out with that. Then we sprinkled in some Cal history, because there's so many amazing people associated with Cal who have done all these great things. I mean, we just did an episode on Ernest O. Lawrence, and famous for inventing the cyclotron, the first Nobel Prize winner at Cal. Now we have over 100 Nobel Prize winners and all that, but that was what set Cal up way back in the 30s to kind of like have this tremendous academic reputation around the world. But anyway, we celebrate all things Cal. And right now during football season, we are just all about football. So we release a new episode every Monday. It's our football recap episode. And I lucky enough to do it with Ahmad, who's in the Hall of Fame at Cal for having done the Bear Territory Cheer. That's where the name of the podcast comes from. And then David Ortega, who is a legendary linebacker who had 525 tackles in his career. But yeah, you can find us on YouTube. Tell the whole damn world. We're everywhere you can find your podcasts. Amazon, Spotify, Apple, Pandora, all of that. But yeah, if you're a Cal fan or you know any Cal fans, let them know about us, because we'd love to help you or help grow the podcast. So thank you guys so much for the opportunity to be here.
Yeah, thanks guys, appreciate it.
Of course, yeah.
Have a good one.
Territory all day, baby. Peace and
blessings, guys.
Brothers.
All right.
Be well.
Thanks.
Be
We'll
well, guys. Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right. Thanks to Rez and Ahmad from Tell the Whole Damn World. Wow, great bunch of guys. They really do get you fired up for the upcoming game, don't they? So great insight on Cal, and yeah, I'm excited. Anything kind of stand out to you both, Kurt, Max?
Go ahead, Max.
I mean, I think you hit the nail on the head, Kurt. I think both these defenses are going to be very similar, and it will be interesting to see who, I guess, can kind of find a chink in the armor, whether it's an explosive play or they can just find one or two drives that work, or if it's just not turning the ball over. I think this one might be one of those games where it comes down to one or two plays or one or two series. It's kind of giving me the feel of like the UCLA game last year, except for this go around. It feels like Cal has higher expectations than UCLA did last year. I think UCLA ended up being a little more of a surprise when we played them. But going out west, I mean, it's tough. And I think I saw a stat that I think last year when Big Ten teams traveled 2 or more time zones, they were like 8 and 20 or something like that. Like just crazy that it doesn't make that big of a difference. But if
Right.
there's any hope, I think PJ's 3-0 on the West Coast in his time here, so small sample size, I guess. But hopefully that's he knows what he's doing, I guess.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the UCLA game came to mind for me too, Max, and it's just how sluggish the start was there. I really don't think that's something obviously you want to do, but I don't think that's something we can afford because, like you said, I think it's going to be more of a defensive battle overall, especially if Darius Taylor is out. I'm just assuming he is, and I know he very well could play and get 30 carries. PJ didn't say anything in his presser. He said we'll find out 2 hours before the game. Very typical PJ answer, but I just think not that we're going to just be able to run the ball and get out of there like a 9-6 win, but like I just think that both the quarterbacks are young, right, and the defensive fronts are both the best that they have seen so far um, that they're going against. So I just think you gotta start fast. If you're like, especially I'm talking for our defense, like you can't be, the time change. You can't get off slow against these guys. Like they're ready to go. They've mentioned they do have a few playmakers. Um, they're sounds like they're running more of an RPO scheme, but I was watching the highlights against Oregon State, and they are taking shots down the field. So to me, when I'm looking at our defense in this game, it's can you win the line of scrimmage? Can Anthony Smith, Devin Eastern make the young quarterback uncomfortable? So then on top of that, can your safeties be helping out your corners against some of these better receivers that we're going to see? So, yeah, start fast if you're the defense, and like always, got to win the line of scrimmage battle.
Yeah. I think so. For me, the keys of the game are a little. That's what we're doing right now, right? Just kind of breaking down
Basically,
our keys.
yeah.
Um, I think a big thing, and you said it as one of your keys, Kurt. One of their guys, their linebackers, I believe, Cade Uluave, he's out for the first half because of targeting. So maybe to offensively get to a fast start, just to sort of take the game away from them early if we can. Um, and not start off slow. I don't think a slow start like we had against UCLA last year is going to cut it in this game. So getting off to a fast start. Additionally, Cal has 5 new starters or new defensive backs that are playing. So we're going to have to rip it through the air, I believe. And without Darius Taylor, I think we're going to have to rely on Drake Lindsay to try and be that guy and really see what receivers are going to kind of take us on for the remainder of the year. This is kind of the first big test, obviously, Power Four team. So got to see what Lindsay can do. Uh, and then third, and I think I say this all the time, but be powerful up front, on offense and defense. Win the trenches. They got a great quarterback. He's a true freshman, though. So if we can really bring in the blitz, I think we can kind of disrupt him a little bit, get him, a little flustered, and hopefully he'll make mistakes. And then our secondary can clean it up a bit.
Yeah, they were really that was one thing I was surprised on. They did warn us they were optimistic, but they were really high on the O line and the whole defense in general. So I thought you brought up the secondary. I thought that might be somewhere we might be able to take advantage. Hopefully we will. Uh, they're high on the O line. I feel like it's both teams, right? Like with these first 2 games, this game for both is now the next step up in competition overall. Like is Buffalo better than Oregon State? Initially you would think no, but maybe I have no idea. I think they're probably 2 comparable teams at this point in the year overall. But so that's really the game. And then last week we both played FCS schools, so I'm not buying into last week's game a whole lot for either side at this point. But yeah, it's kind of like the first game to show like are both of these defense as good as advertised, or has it been has diminishes or blemishes on either team be hidden by the competition that they've faced so far? So, yeah, offensively, I think even if Darius Taylor's out, you still have to find somewhat of a run game. O line, it's young, right? The left side's I don't know if we can call Greg Johnson necessarily young. He's played a lot of snaps, but Roy's young at left tackle. Then the right side's just new. They've played plenty of games, so if they can just come out firing, like, it's been a little bit of a slow start each game, which I feel like is kind of a trend early in the year for the Gophers offensive line in general. But again, just get out and get ready to play. No drops early, right? Looking at you, Gears, and I do think our receivers will be able to make some plays. Just it is so many new faces, right? So I think if we can put just enough stress on the defense, we will maybe get just enough explosive plays to make the difference in this one. So I'm ready for my score prediction. I'm a little bit less intimidated now that Ahmad is off of our screen, at least, and I can say this without getting too much pushback. He was great. They were both great, by the way. Shout out to those guys for joining us. I'm going Gophers 24, Cal 17. I just think that, this is probably the bias in me. I just trust what I know out of our offensive line and defensive line more at this moment. Cal had a really good defense last year, and it seems pretty good again this year. I just don't know if I see the Anthony Smith on their team, right? Like, I just maybe there is somebody. I just didn't notice that as of yet. And I trust Anthony Smith to make a few plays. Greg Johnson's been great since being back at guard. I just think I lean us slightly. Could be dead wrong, but I just lean us slightly in the trenches. I think that's the difference. I think Drake Lindsey's going to be able to keep his composure. Gophers 24, Cal 17, and we get out of there okay.
Yeah.
I like it.
I kind of have a similar score, Kurt. I think it'll be a little closer than that. I got the Gophers winning though, 20-17. Uh, I just, even though the key of the game is to kind of start off slow and or fast and not flat, uh, I think that might happen. But I think the Gophers will prevail again, 20-17.
That's funny. I'll start with my score prediction because we all picked the same score for Cal. I've got us winning 26-17. I think the big thing is just like we talked about, not starting slow and hopefully hitting some explosive plays early. It does feel like if we can strike fast, that if we can take their offense out of rhythm and out of what they want to do, which is play sideline to sideline, they can take deep shots. But really, the name of their game is the RPO and the option game, kind of moving up down the field. So if we can put the pressure on their young quarterback versus them putting the pressure on our young quarterback, I think that's going to make all the difference. Defensively, like the intermediate coverage got to be huge, obviously against the RPO, but also the open field tackling. I think that's been something. I don't think we've missed a tackle yet this year. Obviously, last game, I feel like it doesn't really count towards that, but it's got to be something that we continue. It's got to be something we continue, and especially with starting fast. Like, if we are missing tackles in the open field, I mean, they talked about that DeJesus, the UNLV transfer at wide receiver, he could be a problem. Like, that dude is really good with the ball in his hands. He's a lot like that Victor Snow from Buffalo, where he'll play out of the slot. He's a smaller guy. He's shifty. He's probably faster, if not like more athletic than Snow. He's a little bit thicker too. I think he returns punts for him too. So the dude's all over the place. And I am also interested to see if Jalen Logan Redding is ready to play or if he's going to be back from his knee injury as well.
Yeah.
Because I think, like Darius Taylor possibly being out, as much as that would hinder the offense, I think we have enough weapons all around and depth at running back that it might not be that big of an impact in one game. Whereas missing a Jalen Logan Redding at your 3 technique, that could break, the interior of your defense, right? I mean, obviously we've seen Anthony Smith play some of the interior, but then it's the question of, well, then who plays end? And there's just a lot of more moving pieces there that I feel like I'd almost rather have JLR be ready to go than Darius Taylor in this game. That's maybe an unpopular opinion. But I think this defense needs to come ready to play and needs to be at 100% strength. So those are my keys: tackle the open field, intermediate coverage, and strike fast on offense.
I got to make a confession. Ahmad talked me down a field goal. I had us 27-17, and now I'm just like, if they're anywhere as fired up as he is, it's going to be like, get ready.
Right.
All the energy. We do have one comment here. Since they commented, we'll throw it up there. Dio says, "Go Bears." Dio, I disagree, but we do appreciate you tuning in. And hey, I do think it's going to be a great game. Doesn't it just feel like a game that we're going to start down Like, I just feel like we're not going to score first this game. And I really hope to avoid that. Like, if we come out, say we start with the ball and we go 8 plays, whatever, 70 yards and a touchdown, I will feel so much better about it. Like, that we're off the bus ready to go. And or plane, I guess, in this case. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like it feels like the UCLA game last year a little bit.
Yeah. I feel like it's been a trend of long road trips lead to slow starts. And that's for any team really, but
yeah.
It's really
it's
just
just
the
they have
response
new
to that, I
pieces
guess.
too, right? And it is at home.
Exactly.
It's just I'd like to think we're their toughest team that they faced too at this point. So we'll see. Let me get the score prediction. We just did them, Dio. Or do you want one? Like, do you want one yourself? All right. I got 24-17 Gophers. Max has 25-17. Was it
26-17? We get a safety
26-17.
somewhere.
And Spencer has 20-17. We all pick Gophers. It's a Gopher pod. It's very rare we pick against ourselves, but in fact, I'll go one further. I'll just start with this Sky U Pod parlay of the week. The Gophers are my lock. We are getting a point. We are a point and a half favorites. And I'm 0 for 2 on the year. It's not jinxing it. I just got to go to what I know. And what I think I know is this Gopher team. We got Anthony Smith. We got Devin Eastern. We got Mav. We got Coy. We got Kerry Brown. We got Zaquan Bryant. Jackson Howard. That's just on defense. All the weapons on offense. It gets the job done. We're going to win, and it's going to be by more than 1.5 points. So the Gophers are my lock for the Sky U Pod parlay.
I like it. Yeah, and again, this all will make you all money, so be sure to put your bets in. I know we're 0-2, but this week's the week. I hope mine doesn't worry you guys much, but on Friday there's a game. Kansas State is on the road at Arizona, and Kansas State is a 1.5 point favorite. I think I'm going to have to go with Arizona. I'm just not liking what I'm seeing from these Wildcats, fellas. I had them maybe being Big 12 champions. I'm just not seeing that. So give me Arizona.
Wow, bailing on your pick to win, or one of your picks to finish up by the conference so soon. I don't hate it. It's a close game again, so I picked a close game. I never mind picking those close spreads because if you pick the right team to win, odds are they're covering. That's how my brain views it. I guess there could be more of a chance that they lose too, but it is what it is. I like it.
Yeah, not a bad pick. I mean, I think I picked Kansas State as the Big 12 champion in the playoffs, and that's not looking too hot after they just lost to Army.
I think they're probably done unless they win out and win the conference. But
right. Yeah. Who do we got to win the Natty? Well, I think Kurt and I agreed in Clemson.
I think we all had Clemson. Didn't
we all
you
have Clemson?
Shreddy? Did you pick LSU?
I thought I had Ohio State.
Did you?
I had Ohio State against Clemson.
Oh, that's what it was. Yeah, I don't feel good about Clemson either. Their offense, something's not right with that offense.
Right.
Well, not so fast. Clemson minus 3.5 is my lock at Georgia Tech.
Okay, that one scares
the line.
The crap out
it
of me.
Opened. I believe it opened, unless I saw something wrong.
It was at 9.5.
Yeah, it opened over a touchdown, and it came all the way down to 3.5. So I'm just going to scoop up that value. I know Clemson, close game against LSU.
These fines out there, folks, elsewhere. Look at Max.
That's true.
Eyes. Vegas is going to give him 9.5, and it moved, and he's like, okay. That's why we're here on a fan podcast.
It's really just, I mean, Clemson's had some interesting looking offense the last 2 games, but their defense, I think, is still that good that they can still be figuring it out. Georgia Tech, solid team, but I don't think they're enough for the Tigers. So
Clemson has to figure out running the football, though. Like, it's too inconsistent.
Right.
I was shocked to find out that they have a converted receiver at running back, like as their main guy this year. It's like you're Clemson and you don't
Yeah.
have like a guy that was in the wings waiting to come out and take over.
Right.
But all right.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there we got it. Gophers -1.5, Arizona +1.5, and Clemson -3.5.
I like it. I think
I feel good about this one. And I
I
don't
do
say that
too.
every week.
I feel worse about my pick.
I do only because I feel like the
can't
Big
figure
12
out
is so
Kansas
tough.
State. I know I
Yeah.
can't figure out Kansas State, and frankly, I don't know a ton about Arizona.
Did this game
but-
cross your minds at all? I believe Oregon has Purdue this week. That
Yeah.
one crossed my mind again just because
But they're
of
at
what they-
Purdue.
they're
I
at
just don't know if
Purdue.
it's going to be like flat.
But what I did not know last week was that Mike Gundy called out Oregon in general, not just Lanning, but just talked about all their money. And you know what? That was Braun, I think. Why was David Braun talking about Oregon? He was talking about Oregon this week. Is that like their next opponent?
Oh, wait.
Are they on a
No,
bye or something?
you're right. Oregon is at Northwestern this week.
Okay,
USC
sorry.
is at
I missed
Purdue.
that. Yes, sorry. I thought about taking Oregon at Northwestern. David Braun called out Nike essentially again. And the back, it's like, why would you do that? Why are you, like Ahmad said, why are you throwing stuff into the pit as just bulletin board material? I don't get it. I don't get it. Like, there are other schools that have had a lot of money that haven't had it put together. So I like to throw shade at our friend Tyler for just saying it's Nike backing the program, which is a huge advantage. No one's doubting that. But you do have to have the right guys in place. I mean, we've seen Oregon make the wrong hire and it went south fast too. So obviously they got a little bit more cooking than just Nike's money, Phil Knight's money.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, Maryland's got Under Armour money, so.
Yeah. Which, hey, I thought they were a dead team to start the year, and they're showing life. But this is classic Maryland, right? I would love to see where they are this second week of October, if they're just toast or what. But it's UCLA who's kind of the surprising team for me so far. Not that they lost, and I know they played two pretty, decent games to start the year. It's just, or opponents. It's just the way it looked. Has been really ugly, and just they ended the year so hot. I thought that it might spark something, but nope.
Yeah. Well,
at this point, sorry, just because he asked who we had for the Natty. At this point, who do you feel like is the best team, like in the country?
The best team right now, or who I think is going to win? Who's the best team, or who do I think is going to win?
Well, who do you think's the best team right now? And I guess who do you think's going to win the Natty? If you had to guess,
I think that Ohio State will win the national championship.
Okay.
And teams, it's so early, but Georgia looks pretty good, I gotta say.
I'll admit I've not watched one play of Georgia football yet. I haven't got around to them.
I do think Ohio State, though, it's so early. They have the best win, I guess, against Texas. We'll see how Texas ends up. It's hard to say,
LSU at Clemson is up there. I think LSU looks good.
LSU looks good, yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's between LSU and I'd throw Ohio State, but I would put Oregon right there. Like, you can talk about Oregon's competition so far, but Penn State hasn't exactly lit it up. Not that I don't think Penn State's good. They are. Oregon's firing on all cylinders. Like, I think right now Oregon might be able to beat anybody. So I would say Ohio State and Oregon are my top two, and I think LSU, just with the win at Clemson, is up there as well. So
yeah, I'd agree with all that. I don't think I have any other team in there at this point. So yeah,
right on. All right, fellas. Well, let's get some picks in. Some solid matchups this weekend, all coming from the SEC. SEC matchups start this week, so let's get right into it. Let's start at Georgia Tech. Clemson is on the road at Georgia Tech. Clemson is 3.5
we don't
point
pick
favorites.
Spencer.
We can skip this one. We can skip this one.
Sorry.
It's all right.
Um,
No, I put it in there. That's my bad.
that's all right. I'm gonna go with our lock though. So
Yeah, we all are.
Let's pick, instead of that one, let's pick the Oregon Northwestern game. Oregon's a 27
oh
and a half point
Ducks.
favorite.
yeah, I think I gotta go with the
Ducks.
Ducks.
Unless the
Well done.
Ducks show up and see the practice field that they're playing on, they're just like, "Are you
Right.
serious?" Like, are just kind of like taken aback that they even have to play on something like that. Like,
Right.
you know,
Yeah.
like nose up. No, I don't get that feeling about them at all. That's Michigan
Right.
fans. That something is
Yeah.
beneath them. Anyway, yeah, Ducks. Ducks big.
I would
When
agree.
you give them the ammunition to have more, to want to just crush you, they're gonna take it. So yeah,
Right.
I mean,
Well, what does Northwestern do with pissing all these teams off? They did it to Tulane.
I
Now they're
know.
calling
What
out
is he
Oregon.
doing?
Like,
And I wanted to be a David Braun stan as a guy that graduated from the same school. Gosh, he's making it difficult this year. I don't get it. I don't get it. Maybe
That is
he
tough.
wants out. He's like, you know what? I need to coach some. I don't know.
Right. Having a cross up of the Big Ten in the SEC, Wisconsin is on the road at Alabama, the beginning of their tough football stretch, I think, if it's not already began, frankly. Alabama's 21 and a half point favorites. Bama hasn't looked good, fellas, but I'm going Bama. I think that they're going to just take this over.
Is it 21 and a half?
That's
Is
what
that
it
what you said?
was. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
For some reason, I thought it moved. I want Bama to cover. I just haven't really seen. I know they just stomped, School of the Blind last week, whatever it was, but I don't know. Like Wisconsin's defense, much I don't want to say, they have looked back to normal. So that's just a lot of points, and I got burned on this a couple times in my picks last week. But I am gonna take the Badgers to cover the 21 and a half. Hopefully they lose by 20.
Yeah. I'm going to take Wisconsin as well, just because it feels like this is their season almost. Like if they
Yeah.
can make this one close, it gives them some hope. But
All offseason,
I
they've
don't
heard
know.
about this game on the schedule and how they have no chance.
Yeah.
That and the Gophers.
And they did get
We're
stomped
gonna
last
motivate them.
year at home.
Yeah.
But last year was the what's his face got injured, right? Was that against
Yeah,
Alabama?
their quarterback.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
But
they already got that out of the
is-
way, right? Or is he
Sure.
back?
True.
Is
I have no
Billy Evers
idea.
back?
Yeah.
Maybe that's, I don't know. We'll take the Badgers by 21, losing by 21.
All right. All right. Back to SEC matchups here. Georgia's at Tennessee. Georgia's a 3.5 point favorite. I'm going to go Georgia here. Like I said, they look pretty good. It's been early, but I think that they're going to be one of those solid teams this year. I know Tennessee is good. I know it's on the
This is-
road, but
Yeah, in Knoxville. Yeah, I don't know. I want to lean Georgia, and I will go Georgia just because Kirby's smart, but I don't know. Like, something tells me Tennessee is like not a chip on their shoulder, but they seem more like they seem less. They seem more disciplined and like together. I don't know. It's early, but you know what I mean. Now that the QB drama's over with, they just seem more like we're just Tennessee. We're playing pretty good defense. They looked solid against Syracuse, right? That's who they opened, or was it Syracuse? I think they opened up with Syracuse. But
I think
I'm gonna go Georgia, but I wouldn't be shocked if Tennessee at home wins it. To be honest, but I'll go Georgia.
Yeah, I'll take Georgia as well. They did have a weird game last week against Austin Peay, but they had that really long weather delay, so I don't know if that affected it, but we'll just take the Bulldogs.
As long as they're not driving there, I think they'll be ready to
zooming to the next SEC matchup. Florida is at LSU. LSU, who we were talking about, 8.5 point favorites. Give me the Tigers. After I saw the abysmal performance that um, Florida had against USF, who maybe USF is a solid team. I guess they're trying to make a case to maybe being a little sneak in for the CFP. We'll see. It's really early. But again, Kurt, you mentioned it. LSU is looking pretty good. So I think that being at home against Florida, I got the LSU Tigers.
Yeah, their defense looks really legit, and that was maybe something that was lacking Brian Kelly's first go at it there in LSU. And Nussmeier looks like a legit quarterback, so there he is a legit quarterback. I liked him coming in, so no questions there. And yeah, I don't know, like this would have been such a bigger game field than if they didn't drop that game last week, which they, in all honesty, they should have won. Statistically, they were all over them. It just bad special teams, bad turnovers. That's going to cost you games. You know, so I don't know. I actually like Napier, so I don't want him to lose his job, but it's gonna be tough. But yeah, I'll take LSU.
I'm going to take the Gators. Just kind of in a bounce back spot. I think if they're not spitting in the face of their opponents, literally,
Yeah,
maybe they win that. If they win that game last week close, I think this feels like a big game still. But I mean, getting over a touchdown, I'm just going to take the Gators.
sure.
They still have a good quarterback, right? They still have a good offense. It's just what
We
version
think.
of that Florida team are you going to get?
Yeah,
And like
Right.
you said, Spence, that USF team I think might be actually really good. Like their quarterback's a dude. They just stomped Boise. Now they play Miami. I mean, they're kind of setting themselves up to have a pretty
Right.
impressive resume. And if they go out and win the American Conference, they might be in the
Right.
playoff themselves. So
Right. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. And lastly, Texas A&M on the road at Notre Dame. Notre Dame's 6.5 point favorites here. I feel like they're giving them a lot. Admittedly, I haven't watched a lot of Texas A&M football. I only saw the Irish lose to Miami, but 6.5 points against Texas A&M just seems like a lot. I'm gonna go A&M. It's tricky. It's as if Vegas knows something that we don't. Like it just seems like it
it's
should maybe
tough.
be 2.5 Irish, the home advantage. 6.5, a whole touchdown. I don't know.
I hear ya, but maybe Vegas is thinking they'll get more money. Maybe Vegas thinks they knows what we don't. Well, they always think that, and that Notre Dame is actually still a great team, and A&M is good, but not quite up to the same level. I don't know. This is a tough line. I wish it was a little smaller, but they are at home. I thought the quarterback looked good. They just got to get more going around them for them Irish. So I guess I'll go the Irish at home covering.
I'm going to take Notre Dame as well. I honestly think they were better than Miami. I think they just had a couple of bad breaks the other way. Miami, honestly, I think got really lucky in their game against Notre Dame. So I'm also going to take the Irish. I think A&M's a really solid team, but I think Notre Dame is just defensively, I think they're that good. So take them at home to cover. Which stinks because I really like Mike Elko.
Yeah, I do too. I think he's a good coach. For those of you that care, I just picked up the newest edition here. That's a Lawrence Maroney there. Jeez, the light is just lighting that bad boy. If I hold them by me. Anyway, nice letter sticker auto from Lawrence Maroney. I will give this away to our 1 millionth subscriber. So get us there, folks, and it's yours.
You heard it here, folks. On the road to 1 million, just a lot to go.
10,000th subscriber. I'll bring it down a notch.
Just a little.
There we go. There we go. Well, yeah, Gopher fans, thanks again for tuning in to another episode of Sky U Pod. And thank you to our guest speakers today, Rez and Ahmed from Tell the Whole Damn World. Go ahead and check them out. They're very exciting. Get you pumped up to, like you
They had
said,
Ron
Kurt,
Rivera on
strap
their
up
show
and
too. So.
right. I mean, they're legit. So check them out. Thanks. A huge shout out to them for joining us today. And yeah, so that was awesome. But as always, please like and subscribe to the channel. It can be found on YouTube, X, Spotify, or wherever you like to listen to your podcast. Be sure to check out our partners website at thecollegehuddle.com for more podcasts and articles about all things college football. Thanks again. Have a great night and go Gophers.